today, for everyone who's watching on live stream and who joined with us from Access and AJC. My name is Chanel Shirazi. I'm the Alexander Associate with Access New York. And we are very, very proud to be partnering with Access Israel and Access Global for this really special and meaningful event in commemorating International Holocaust Remembrance Day. And we thank our partners at Zikaron and BaSalon for also connecting us and helping us create this event. It's my pleasure to introduce Elizabeth Abel, an Access New York board member, who's going to kick us off. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, and hello, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Abel, and I've been a member of the Access New York board for the past 2 years. I became involved with Access following the horrific shooting in the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania in 2018. I was deeply moved by AJC's response, Show Up for Shabbat, which demonstrated unity, hope, and action in the face of violent anti-Semitism and hate. Issues of anti-Semitism, and specifically Holocaust and genocide education, have always been important to me and my family. I've made a lifelong commitment to remember and honor my own family members whose lives were tragically ended during the Holocaust through education, social action, and philanthropy. Their lives and their memories inspire my own commitment to Holocaust and genocide education, and it is my greatest prayer that their legacy will endure through this vital work. Today we convene to hear the story of Holocaust survivor Mr. Yossi Lipschitz at a time when anti-Semitism in the US and around the world is sadly once again a part of our daily narrative. It is more important now than ever to hear from survivors like Mr. Lipschitz, to learn from their experiences and to raise a moral voice in the face of anti-Semitism and hate. Thank you to AJC, Access, and Zikaron BaSalon for making this a priority today. A little bit about our hosts. AJC is a premier global Jewish advocacy organization founded in 1906. It has 3 main priorities. Number 1, combating anti-Semitism in the US and around the world. 2, advocating for Israel's legitimacy at home and abroad. And 3, combating extremism and promoting human dignity. Access Global is AJC's community of young professional leaders who shape dialogue around global Jewish advocacy through legislative, diplomatic, and intergroup partnerships. We appreciate our partners at Zikaron BaSalon, also known as Memory in the Living Room, who are inspiring communities around the world to connect with survivors and learn about the Holocaust. Although these joint conversations are usually held in someone's living room, we are appreciative of everyone around the world today who is virtually joining us. As an Access community, it's up to us to carry the testimonies, histories, and stories that shape the past and inform the future. We are so grateful to be joined by our guest speakers, Mr. Yossi Lipschitz and His Excellency Levento Benko, the Ambassador of Hungary in Israel, in commemoration of International Holocaust Remembrance Day. Yossi Lipschitz is a Holocaust survivor from Budapest, Hungary, who now lives in Sharei Tikva, Israel. Yossi is also a member of the Holocaust Survivors Club in Sharei Tikva, a program and cooperation that AJC Jerusalem works closely with. On behalf of the entire Access Global community, thank you, Mr. Lipschitz, for being with us today. Throughout Yossi's testimony, please feel free to send questions into our Q&A box. Mr. Lipschitz, the floor is yours. Thank you so much.
Yes, good evening, everybody. I apologize in advance of my broken English because usually in the day, usually every day I don't speak English, and I learned my English in the high school. It was a little bit far. My name is Joseph Lipschitz. I was born in 1937, January. And in Hungarian, we must know that the Holocaust began on 19th of March, when the German army occupied Hungary, and with no resistance, because there was no reason to any resistance against the German army. In Hungarian, we must know, in Budapest, there were 1 million residents, and from this, 250,000 Jews. Every fourth man on the street was a Jew. The Jews, they were great patriots of Hungary, and between the two World War, they contributed a great contribution to the economy and the culture life and so on. I hear that 55% of the doctors, they're Jews. So they were very, very involved in the Hungarian life. But what can we say? Nothing helped us. Till then, the 19 March of 1943, the life was bearable. There were some laws against Jews, but the everyday life, you can lead your everyday life as before. After that, I can remember as a child, a little child, when the German groups marched in the streets of Budapest with their boots. It was a great impression. And why they occupied Hungary? Because Horthy, who was the leader of the nation, he wanted to quit the alliance with the Germans. A year before, Romania, they went out from this pact, and because it was obvious that Germany is going to lose the war. One defeat after another, it was in those days, and that's why they occupied Hungary. And the main thing that we did see from this, it was the war against the Jews. On 19th of March, a day after that, Eichmann with his group arrived to Budapest, and he did not waste the time. He made a meeting with all the Jewish leaders, and because he wanted to speak to one represent. Then and the deep German psychology, that they don't make at once, nothing at once, step by step, gradually. It was after 10 days, maybe 2 weeks, it was came out the order that every Jew has to put the yellow star, and like the Germans, everything was Ordnung muss sein. It has to be 6 centimeters, and because no one could hide the star. And I remember everybody was rushing to make this star, and I myself, because from 6 years old, you have to put the star, and I have to put also. It was to mark the Jews. When a Jew is going on the streets, everybody knew that he is a Jew. And after that, every few days there were a new law against the Jews. My father wrote here. He wrote a memory book. He wrote it from 1912, and his last writing was, he said, he wrote in 1944, March 19, the German groups, the troops occupied Hungarian. And a few days after that, my father was a rabbi in Budapest. He has a small community there. And since he went with a beard, on the 19th of March, he was kept by the police, and he disappeared for 3 days. I remember it, how much we was concerned about him. And the last writing of him, on June 23, it was a Friday, we have had to leave our home because, as I said, it was gradually step after step. Every few days, it was a new order. And then in this time, all the Jews has to go into special houses together. And I remember the scene. We hired a horse, a carriage with a horse, and put our little belongings, and we went to this Jewish house. Everybody received a room there. Of my great surprise, I did see people with great stars, crosses, Christian crosses with us. Those were the people who converted even in the childhood. They were very good Christians. They went every Sunday to the church, but nothing helped them. They were with us. In this house, they have been, I think, 3 months, June, July, August, September, we have been there. And I will come what happened after that. Before this, my grandpa and all my mother's family, they lived outside of Budapest. They lived in Slovakia. It was 120 kilometers far from Budapest, and it was taken by the First World War. It was taken from Hungary. Slovakia was taken. It was the people were there. Hungarian speakers. They spoke the language, of course, and on the, I think it was about 1941 or 40 when Hungary became an ally of the Germans. They gave back all those territories that it was taken away by 1919. So our family lived in a little village near Komarno. Today, the Komarno in Hungarian, Komaro. No, okay. We every year in the summer with I have had two greater brother and a sister greater than me, and I was the fourth, and my sister who sits here, he was the little one. Every year we for a month we go to this village and to be with the grandfathers, grandfather with the whole family there. Horthy, he did not allowed to take the Jews from Budapest. He had the appointments with Hitler, and he didn't agree. He urged him, Hitler urged him, but he didn't agree. But after the occupation, maybe he couldn't do nothing. From the peripheria, from the outside of Budapest, they started to deport the Jews to Auschwitz. Here I have the last letter from my grandfather. He wrote it on 1944, 14th of May. It was maybe 2 weeks before they were deported in cattle wagons to Auschwitz. He wrote that the great German psychology was to keep hope in the Jews. Nothing will happen, you will be alive, everything will be okay. But after they put them on the cattle wagons, nothing helped more. Here he wrote this letter that he have had to leave their village, and they are concentrated in some city there, and everything is okay. They brought enough food, and in the end of the letter, he say just now we hear from the Jewish Council that it will be they will allow everybody to go home and bring some more products from the home. In 2 weeks, they took them. I think in 3 weeks, they went to the crematorium. Horrible death, horrible.
In Auschwitz.
In Auschwitz, yes. After that, in September, October, I think they throw Horthy away, and the Hungarian Nazis came on the rule, and then they decided it was the end of the war already. We could hear the cannons shooting, but to kill Jews, what I wanted to say that in 3 months, May, June, July, about 500,000 of the Jews of Hungarian were killed and burned. But it was not enough, because there were Jews in Budapest. So all the men from 16 years old, they have to go to the death march. They say so my father and 2 brothers, they have to go to this march. It was already a cold winter, and they marched them toward Austria. My brother, the youngest one, he came back after the war and after the Holocaust, and he told us that my brother, he got typhus and he was very weak. So he and 80 or 100 others was thrown to a cattle wagon, and they closed it, and they opened it after 10 days. A horrible death. Of course, and nobody was alive in this time. A horrible death, horrible. 2 days after the men went to the march, it came out an order that the woman has also to go, and my mother has to go. But my little sister here, he cried so much, and she wanted to calm her, but till she calmed her a little bit, everybody, he went down and everybody left. So a Jew was not allowed to go out of the street, only 2 hours a day to buy what he has said, to eat something. So she remained with us, my 2 sisters and me. And the leader of the house, it was every house has somebody who was in charge. He said that you cannot be here more. So we had to go. We went, we take some belongings of us, and we headed to the ghetto. It was the ghetto in Budapest. And in those times, the Hungarian Nazis, when they found the Jew, they took him to the Danube, to the Donau. And there they told them to, I don't know why, to take off the shoes, and it was a bullet in the neck. And yeah, into the Duna, yeah. And so we hoped not to be caught. And I remember I was a very blonde child, and we went on the streets, and I heard some Gentile. They sat there, and he say some woman said, "No, they are no Jews." So we rescued in this time. We went to the ghetto, and let us in, but it was horrible bombs day and night. It was a bomb felt by all near our room, and around 20 people were killed. And some miracle, a great miracle, we remained alive. But my elder sister, she was wounded, and her eyes, he lost her eyes. One eye, yeah, one eye. And I think it was something about December. In December, we went down to a cellar with another Jews, and on the 70th, and we have nothing to eat, nothing. We laid there on lie down on a bed.
No, it was not bed, in earth.
שהיה שם איזה...
לכולם היה מיטות.
לא לכולם. And it was close to death. Horrible condition, horrible. It was there a little newborn child, and she was crying all the time, and the mother saying, kill him, because we were very afraid that somebody will hear that we are in this cellar. Who knows if somebody is going to see us, this is the end. On the 17th of January, I remember it because my birthday was in 16. The Soviet groups, they broke in this cellar, and we was taught already to stay up, and we raised hands up. Yevre, we are Jews.
Mama said it because she knows a little Russian.
Yes. She spoke Slovakian, and it is very alike.
And she understands. She understands what.
She understands
that we are Jewish.
And then they brought some bread, and we ate something. Saved our life. After several months, we could go out to the streets. What remained me from those times, the great helplessness that we feel, the totally helplessness. We could not do nothing of resistance. It is not nothing to read about. So we went the joint open a children's home there in Hungary, in Budapest, and we went to there, and we have been there 4 years. And it was 1949, January again 17, we arrived to Haifa. It was our dreamland here. So today, thank God, we have 12 grandchildren and 3 grandchildren, and we hope to the coming years. My sister, she has also 14 grandchildren and grandchildren. 4 grandchildren. Thank God that we survived. I think this is all. And I apologize again of my English.
Maybe they want to ask you something.
Yes, can. I think he said that people want to ask.
Yeah. So hello, my name is Julien Ballour. I'm a member of the AJC Access in Israel. Thank you, Yossi, first of all, for sharing your story. It was very moving, especially for me, who grew up in Europe, and to hear about the anti-Semitism in the continent in Europe. It is always for me a personal experience. And I think that with you and with your personal story, we can learn again how it is important to say, not only to say never forget, but to learn how to prevent this kind of things to happen again. So feel free, all of you who are listening to us, to ask questions in the box. I will ask question on my side to start, but if you have any questions, or feel free, of course, to ask question. I can read your question and we will ask Yossi. So first of all, Yossi, can you tell us a bit more about your journey after the war? How did you arrive to Israel?
Yes, I wanted only to say that we are here all the time, no more again. But I think everybody who gets through the Holocaust is not normal. I feel I differ. From other people that he's raised up in freedom. Till now we live the Holocaust all the time. So, my sister say that we are still hearing the march of the German troops in Budapest. You want to know how we got to Israel? The Joint and the Sochnut, they paid the costs, and we came through Venice with a ship. We came to Israel we can say as luxury. They paid for everything, and we came, my mother and the 2 sisters and myself. My elder brother, who came back from the horrible death march, he came to Israel already in 1947. He sent us the certificate.
I see. And do you still have connection with Hungary today after so many years? If you still have connection with Hungary, Hungary, היום.
No, I can't understand.
I'm asking if you still have connection with your with Hungary today.
We have very far relation relatives there. Yes, they are very good Christians already. But the sister of my sister-in-law, she lives there till now, and of course all the children, they are assimilated. like the great majority of the Hungarian Jewry, between the two wars, the world wars, they were assimilated, of course, far from Judaism.
Okay, I have here a question from Teddy. He said that, Yossi, thank you for sharing your story. It is so important for the next generation to learn what happened. Do you remember how the non-Jewish population of Budapest handled the end of the war? And did they welcome you? And did they welcome the return of the Jews in the city after the war?
איך קיבלו, איך האזרחים ההונגרים קיבלו ששוחררתם, הגויים. תגיד במלחמה עוד השכנים אמרו לנו, מה, עוד לא לקחו אתכם?
They said, I remember, oh, they are coming back much more than they were taken after the war. Oh, it is much more Jews here than they was here.
And somebody go back to Hungarian, and he was going to enjoy a little Hungarian, Budapest. And they don't know that he knows Hungarian, and he tells them, oh, so bad that our friend Hitler doesn't kill them. This is Hungarian people. They hate us all the time. All the Jewish people they hate. Until now. But you know, we was really good persons. We was not doing nothing bad. All the time we was only good person, only good citizen. Only we think all the time to make good things. But they hate us. Because my father was going after the work home and teach us and learn us and be with us. And then another Hungarian people go to drink. After that they go home and I don't know what they do with their wives. They have not money because they was drinking all the time. So they hate us very much.
I see. It's still, of course, horrible to hear about that. Even if we already heard this kind of stories, it's always terrifying to hear. Hank is asking, what business did you have in Israel?
Here I go to the yeshiva, and after that I learned a profession of fine mechanic. And I went to the army, and after the army, we have had a workshop of laboratory appliances, excuse me, laboratory appliances like all the things who hold the glasses in the laboratory. And we are working a little bit till now. Everybody who opened the internet and he write Lipschitz, he can see our website there.
I have here a very interesting question from Michael Fox. He said he would like to know if it was possible for the Jews in Hungary after the war to move to another country, or if they was forced to leave, or they could leave the country?
No, they were not too forced, but on 1949, the communist regime came, and till then, everybody could leave the country. After that, nobody was allowed to leave. So it was till the rebel of 1956 revolution of 1956, many they escape from Hungarian, from Hungary, yes. I think nowadays they are counting 100,000 Jews in Hungary, and from this maybe 4,000 are religious. All the rest are assimilated, and in a late research I read that 10% of the Hungarian people they have Jewish roots. Very interesting. A leader of before 20 years, a leader of the great Hungarian Nazi leaders, it was recovered that he's a Jew. I don't remember his name, but it was so funny. He spoke all the time about Peres, and it revealed that he is a Jew.
Itai and Janine are asking, what is your strongest memory from the Jewish life and the Jewish culture in your country before the war? What do you remember about the Jewish life in Hungary?
Those who was religious, there were a very strong Jewish life. All the Jews, the Budapest has 14 sections, and the Jews mostly lived in the seventh section. It was the middle of the city, and it was a very organized, very organized Jewish life. Before the war, before 1943, I went to school, of course, a Jewish school. There were a Jewish gymnasium. It was a Jewish hospital, a very organized Jewish life. And the Jews were everywhere, in the theaters, everywhere. It is true that in the universities, they were allowed only 5% of the students to be Jews. Numerus clausus, yes. But very organized.
Did you tell your story with your kids and your grandkids? Or did you take time maybe to tell the story?
The truth is that yes, and not only to my family, because here in Israel, every student in the high school he must write a work of the Holocaust. So many of them are coming to me, and we are working on this. I have several books already.
We have here a very interesting question from Leo. It's a question that maybe all the immigrants will ask you. Did you feel home when you arrived to Israel? Or did you miss your country?
We dreamed about Israel. We dreamed the whole time, and it is still now our dreamland. I enjoy every day, every single day to be here and to breathe the fresh air of Israel. Maybe I am.
Because everything is
ours.
Everything belongs to us, and we love here to be in Israel. Only in Israel.
Only.
Never in another place. Only here.
Yeah, this is true. No, I don't hear. You hear
Sorry,
me?
I forgot to unmute my microphone because my kids are making a lot of noise. So I mute my microphone every time you're speaking. So I'm saying that we have here a question from Stephanie that she knows that a lot of Hungarians are living in Israel. And do you know how many people from Hungary live in Israel today? And how many of them immigrated to Israel recently because of anti-Semitism?
Recently, almost nobody. And before 70 years, there were many from Hungarian, and very, very fast they stopped to speak the Hungarian language among them, and they are speaking only Hebrew. I myself, even with my sister and our late mother, we spoke Hebrew with the brother. So I told Mr. Banker, His Excellency, that 50 years I don't speak Hungarian, the Hungarian language. And nowadays are only I know only the second generation.
This will be the last question. Many of the Access leaders have family who was dead or was connected to the Holocaust. And we all feel, of course, connected to the ceremonies, and we all want to remember, but we want to know also what can we do to honor the past and to build a better future and a safe society. What would you say to these young people who want to build a better future?
What was the last sentence, please?
What would you say to the young generation that wants to build a better future?
I can say only one thing: remain and be Jewish. That don't assimilate. There's so many losses in our nation, that remain and be Jewish.
Sometime everyone will remember the Jew that you are a Jew, no matter how you are successful in every country.
This was also the last sentence that the grandfather of Shimon Peres told to Shimon Peres before he left him. Don't forget that you're Jewish. That was the last sentence that he said to Shimon Peres. We will celebrate the Holocaust International Memory Day in 2 days. What does it mean for you to have this kind of celebration or commemoration? Sorry.
My late mother, she said that will come the time that people will say it never occurred. It cannot be that hundreds of people are going to like sheep to death. It cannot be. Never occurred. Never occurred. And you by your activity, it is a very, very, very important to recall everybody what happened to us. That from the time this planet exists, never was such a thing like this Holocaust.
Well, thank you totally good. Thank you very much. Sorry, Toda Rabba, Yossi, for your word and your testimony. It was very interesting, and I hope that everybody could ask the questions they wanted and they got the answer. So thank you very much for your words.
Thank you, thank you. And be well. And Mr. Levente, thank you again. If you hear me.
Yeah.
I can perfectly hear you, and I will speak in a minute.
Mr. Levente, it was a pleasure to speak with you.
So now we have the great honor to have the Mr. Ambassador with us, so please.
Thank you very much. And let me start by saying that Zikaron BaSalon is a difficult genre. It is always difficult to find the proper words after heartbreaking stories like these. I appreciate very much the honor and the possibility to be able to be a part of this discussion here today, this evening, and of course, most heartfelt appreciation for Yossi for sharing his life stories with us. Dear Yossi, you yourself have just mentioned, and I hope I'm not giving away any secrets here, that we had a long telephone conversation just a couple of days ago. I thought that because of the pandemic, even if we cannot see each other, maybe we could hear each other's voice. I can assure everyone that I didn't realize that Yossi haven't spoken in Hungarian for 50 years, because it's as if he was still speaking Hungarian that morning. So his Hungarian is absolutely impeccable. And I immediately felt a personal connection with you, Yossi, not only because it turned out very quickly that I was born just 2 blocks away from where you grew up, of course, a couple of decades later, but also because I was amazed by your strength and perseverance, and the courage that helped you to survive this terrible ordeal that you and your family underwent. Then, as well as now, this evening, I had to realize that it still takes a lot of courage to speak about these traumas and atrocities after so many years, and the loss that your family, yourself, and so many Hungarian Jews have suffered. It also comes with the realization that this was a loss on an unimaginable scale, not only for individuals like you, Yossi, but also for the entire Jewish community in Hungary. And indeed, it was an unimaginable loss for Hungary itself. For it was hundreds of thousands of our own compatriots who were deported and murdered in the concentration camps following the occupation of Hungary by Nazi Germany, or murdered in the streets of Budapest by the Hungarian Nazi collaborators, as you have also mentioned. That is, we also often say that the Holocaust is also a Hungarian tragedy. I wish to stress the word "also" here, but it's also a Hungarian tragedy. You also mentioned that many of the and most of the Jews who were taken away or deported were Hungarian patriots, and it's a loss that's very difficult to express in words. And that is also why we believe that every generation must think deeply about past crimes so that we could fully understand it and pass it on to future generations. As the ambassador of Hungary in Israel, I can tell you with all certainty that we are indeed reflecting on our past. Present-day Hungary cannot be more different than from the pandemonium that took place 77 years ago. Our laws and our law enforcement agencies are making sure that the definition of anti-Semitism as put down by the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance is ensuring that no person of Jewish origin in Hungary is persecuted. And the Jewish community in Hungary, although decimated by the Shoah, is living in security and free to express its Jewishness in today's Hungary. This in a political context where anti-Semitism is rising many places elsewhere on the continent. Hungary also fully understands the role of the State of Israel, as you, Yossi, has elaborated it so nicely, as the ultimate guarantor of the security of the Jewish people. And that's why Hungary is standing steadfast in its support, in our support behind the State of Israel in the face of unfair international criticism. With that, I'd like to conclude my remarks. Let me thank once again the AJC for giving me the opportunities to speak here this evening, and especially a heartfelt thanks, köszönöm szépen, to Yossi for the chance of getting to know you. And I very much hope that if the pandemic subsides, I may have the opportunity to visit you in person. And we can
Thank you.
get together
Thank
for a
you.
Hungarian chat. And thank you very much.
You are
once again.
invited.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. Köszönöm szépen.
Nagyon szívesen.
Well, thank you, Mr. Ambassador, for your words. On behalf of all of us, I would like to thank you both, Yossi, of course, and Mr. Ambassador for joining us today. This was a very important and I think moving talk, not only for us, not only for me, but for all the people who are watching us today. And we are tens of people, even more than this. And it's important to know that we can count on so many diplomats and people all over Europe and the world in the fight against anti-Semitism. As I said before, I grew up in France and I grew up in Europe. It's always for me something very particular to hear about the story, about history of Europe and what's going on today. And it's always, of course, very moving and a pleasure to see that the AJC and European diplomats are fighting together to build a better future for the Jewish people and for all the European countries together. So thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador. Thank you, Yossi, again. And I invite all of the people who are watching us today to learn more about Zikaron BaSalon and, of course, about the AJC Access on the websites of the organization and, of course, on the social media. Thank you very much, and have a good day or good evening, of course, if you're in Israel. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Mm.
No, no,